The letter arrived on a rainy Tuesday morning. I wasn't expecting anything. My coffee sat untouched, steam curling in the grey light filtering through the blinds. My name, typed in bold letters at the top, looked alien to me. Zora Harrington, you are hereby notified that, following the passing of your grandmother Marguerite Harrington, you are the sole heir of the family estate at Red Pines. Red Pines. The name alone was enough to send a shiver through me. The estate had always been whispered about in our family, like an old ghost story, half forgotten and full of danger. My grandmother's death had been sudden, mysterious even, though the papers said natural causes. But my instincts told me otherwise. I set the envelope down and stared at the window. Rain tapped against the glass like impatient fingers. I had left the Harrington estate behind years ago, after family conflicts too bitter to recall. Now, it was calling me back, not with promises, but warnings. By noon, I had booked a flight. I didn't tell anyone. Not my friends, not my estranged uncle who had tried to manipulate my inheritance before, and certainly not my ex-husband, Akono. This was something I had to face alone. The road to Red Pines was long, twisting through forgotten forests and misted hills. I drove slowly, letting the car's headlights cut through the fog. Every so often, I imagined someone watching me from the trees. The estate had always been private, hidden from prying eyes, but rumors of schemes and disappearances had never truly left the town. When I finally arrived, the gate was as imposing as I remembered. Rusted iron, ivy climbing over the edges, a sign that had seen better days, Red Pines Estate. I pushed the gate open. It protested with a long, metallic screech. The wind carried the faint smell of smoke, and I realized with a jolt that the smaller outbuildings, the stables, the sheds, looked partially charred. Had someone been here already? The main house loomed ahead, grey and silent. Windows like dark eyes stared at me. I parked, grabbed my bag, and stepped out into the wind. The ground was muddy from the constant rain. I paused at the threshold. The key turned with a click I didn't trust. Inside, dust hung like a thick fog. The furniture, draped in white sheets, looked more like ghosts than decor. But I wasn't here for comfort. I was here for truth. I started in the library. My grandmother had always prized this room. Shelves lined the walls, books stacked in meticulous chaos. Then I saw it, her desk, drawers slightly open. My heart thumped. Inside, envelopes, papers, and one small box, taped and labeled Verena Private. I hesitated. The name Verena had been whispered in family stories, my grandmother's sister, my mysterious aunt, supposedly dead, but no one really knew. I pulled the tape gently and opened the box. Inside were documents, letters, photographs, and a flash drive. The handwriting on the letters was shaky, hurried. One note, in particular, made my blood run cold. If you are reading this, I have either vanished or worse. Nema Famsi forced my hand. Everything you see is the key to exposing them. Trust no papers you are handed outside these documents. Password, Starlight 9997. Starlight. My grandmother's horse. Memories came rushing back, long afternoons in the stables, me as a child, holding Starlight's reins while Marguerite watched from the sidelines. I knew then that this wasn't just inheritance. This was a trail, carefully left, for someone clever enough to follow it. Footsteps echoed in the distance. I froze. The rain muted them, but not entirely. Someone was on the property. I hid the box under my coat and moved quietly to the window. Two figures appeared, one tall, impeccably dressed man, the other shorter, muscular, moving with deliberate caution. They didn't notice me. My phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number flashed on the screen. You shouldn't have come alone. They've been expecting you. I didn't reply. Instead, I grabbed a flashlight and headed to the stables, my instincts screaming. The charred wood smelled of old fires and decay. Each step I took echoed. I thought of the letter, the documents, and Verina's warning. The stables were empty, save for the remnants of burned hay and broken stalls. Then I saw it, a carved name on a wooden partition, Starlight. I crouched, examining the boards. One was loose. My hands moved carefully, prying it open to reveal a narrow cavity. Inside, another small metal box. I pulled it out, heart racing. Inside were more papers and a second flash drive. I glanced at the papers, financial transfers, names, dates, all connected to Nema Famsi. This woman, powerful and ruthless, had been manipulating the estate for years, eliminating anyone who stood in her way. And now, I held proof. A low engine sound made me spin around. 3 cars had pulled into the estate yard. Nema Famsi stepped out of a white Lexus, her face cold and hard. Behind her, 2 broad-shouldered men flanked her, and Minton, her lawyer, smiled the kind of smile that never reaches the eyes. You shouldn't be here, Nema said, voice sharp. Everything on this property is legally mine. Step away, or you will regret it. I pulled my phone, activating the live stream. Everything you are saying is being broadcast right now. One step closer, and the law sees every word. Her lips twitched. You overestimate yourself. That drive is useless. Maybe, I said, voice steady. But I'm willing to test that. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. I glanced back to see patrol cars lighting up the estate in red and blue. Malik's voice rang through the radio, freeze. Everyone. The tension snapped. Nema's plans unraveled in real time. Handcuffs clicked. Minton tried to argue, but officers blocked him at every step. Nema's eyes met mine for a fleeting second. Cold calculation, fear, and disbelief all mingled there. I exhaled, the weight of the inheritance and the secret finally settling on my shoulders. I wasn't just an heir anymore. I was the keeper of a truth some people would kill to hide. Gelani, my cousin and loyal ally, came up beside me, breathing heavily. Grandma, or, well, not our grandmother, but, we did it. We did, I whispered. But even as the adrenaline faded, a tiny flicker of unease remained. The top of the pyramid hadn't been touched yet. Nema and Minton were just the first layer. Someone higher up was still out there, waiting. And as I looked at red pines, rain streaking the windows, I knew the real game was only beginning. The rain did not stop that night. It hammered against the tall windows of Red Pines Estate as if the storm itself wanted to break inside. The police cars were gone now, their flashing lights replaced by a heavy silence that pressed down on the property. But the silence didn't feel peaceful. It felt like something was watching. I sat at the large wooden desk in the library, the same desk where my grandmother had hidden the first box of secrets. In front of me were 2 flash drives, a stack of old documents, and my laptop. Gelani leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. You should sleep, he said quietly. I shook my head. Not yet. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. The password my grandmother left behind echoed in my mind. Starlight 9997. I inserted the first flash drive. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the screen flickered. A single folder appeared. FMC files. My pulse quickened. Inside were dozens of documents, bank transfers, contracts, scanned property records, and emails. Most of them were coded, but the pattern quickly became clear. Nema FMC hadn't just tried to steal the Red Pines estate. She had been building something much bigger. Gailani stepped closer. What is it? I turned the screen toward him. Land purchases, I said. Look at the dates. He leaned forward. Properties. Warehouse. Abandoned factories. All within 100-mile radius. Most of them bought under fake company names. Shell corporations. Gailani frowned. That's a lot of land. Yes, I said slowly. But none of them are developed. The purchases made no business sense. Which meant the land wasn't the real goal. Something else was. Suddenly another file caught my attention. A video recording. Dated 3 weeks before my grandmother died. I clicked it. The screen filled with a dimly lit room. My grandmother sat at the same desk where I was sitting now. She looked older than I remembered. Tired. But determined. Zora, she said into the camera. If you're watching this, then things have gone exactly the way I feared. My chest tightened. I tried to stop Nema quietly, she continued. But I underestimated her. Behind her in the video were stacks of papers and maps pinned to the wall. Red Pines isn't just a house, she said. It sits on top of something valuable. She paused. Something people are willing to kill for. Gailani and I exchanged a look. What kind of valuable? He asked. The video continued. Years ago, my grandmother said the government surveyed this region for rare mineral deposits. The reports were classified. She lifted a document toward the camera. Lithium. My breath caught. Lithium. The metal used in batteries. Phones. Electric cars. It was one of the most valuable resources in the world. If Nema gains control of all these properties, my grandmother said, she will control the entire deposit. The video ended. The room fell silent. Gailani whistled softly. So that's it. She wasn't stealing a house, he said. She was stealing a mine. I nodded slowly. And not just one mine. The entire region. The storm outside cracked with thunder. Then my laptop screen suddenly flickered again. A new message appeared. My heart skipped. Did you do that? Gailani asked. No. The cursor began typing on its own. You found the files. A chill ran down my spine. Someone's in the system, Gailani whispered. Another line appeared. Stop digging. Then another. You're not ready for what comes next. I slammed the laptop shut. Silence. The rain kept falling. Gailani stared at me. They hacked us. Yes. Which meant someone else knew about the flash drives. And they knew we had them. A cold thought crept into my mind. What if Nema wasn't the one running everything? Gailani's eyes widened. You mean someone above her? I nodded slowly. Someone powerful enough to hack us in seconds. At that exact moment, the lights in the house went out. Total darkness swallowed the room. Gailani cursed under his breath. The storm hadn't taken the power. The rest of the town still had electricity. This was deliberate. Then we heard it. A sound outside. Car doors closing. Multiple cars. Gravel crunching under heavy boots. My pulse began to race. Gailani, I whispered. How many police officers did Malik leave behind? He looked toward the window. None. The front gate creaked open. Headlights spilled across the lawn. 3 black SUVs rolled slowly toward the house. Not good, Gailani said. No, I replied. Not good at all. The engine stopped. Doors opened. 5 figures stepped out. All dressed in black. Professional. Disciplined. Not thugs. Something worse. One of them lifted a flashlight toward the house. The beam swept across the windows. Searching. Hunting. Gailani grabbed a metal poker from the fireplace. What's the plan? He asked. I looked at the flash drives on the desk. Then at the dark hallway leading deeper into the estate. We don't fight them, I said. We survive them. A loud bang echoed through the house. The front door exploded open. Boots thundered across the marble floor. Voices shouted. Find the drives. My stomach dropped. They knew exactly what they were looking for. Gailani whispered urgently. Back exit. We ran. Through the kitchen. Down the narrow hallway. Past the old pantry. The back door slammed open as we burst into the rain. Cold air hit my face. Behind us. More footsteps. They were already chasing us. Gailani grabbed my arm. The forest. We sprinted toward the tree line behind red pines. Branches whipped against my face. Mud sucked at my shoes. Flashlights appeared behind us. Voices shouted commands. Left side. Cut them off. These people moved like trained hunters. They were organized. Fast. And getting closer. Suddenly Gailani stopped. What? I gasped. He pointed ahead. Through the trees. A narrow dirt road. Headlights appeared. A pickup truck. It skidded to a stop beside us. The driver's door swung open. A man leaned out. Get in if you want to live. I froze. I didn't recognize him. Gailani looked at me. Friend of yours? No. Behind us the flashlights were closing in. The stranger shouted again. Now. Gunshots cracked through the forest. Bullets tore through tree bark near our heads. Decision made. We jumped into the truck. The stranger slammed the gas. The pickup roared down the dirt road. Branches scraped the sides as we sped away from red pines. For several minutes none of us spoke. Finally the driver glanced at me. His eyes were sharp. Focused. You must be Zora Harrington. My stomach tightened. How do you know my name? He gave a small smile. Because your grandmother asked me to find you. My heart skipped. What? He kept driving. My name is Malik Carter, he said. I was her backup plan. Lightning flashed across the sky. Behind us, the estate disappeared into the darkness. But the danger had only just begun. Malik spoke again. And trust me. You have no idea how powerful the people chasing you really are. The pickup truck raced through the dark countryside, tires spraying mud as Malik pushed the engine harder. Rain pounded the windshield, and the Vipers struggled to keep up. For a long moment, none of us spoke. Gailani sat beside me in the back seat, gripping the metal handle above the door. His breathing was still heavy from the run through the forest. Finally, I broke the silence. You said my grandmother asked you to find me. Malik nodded slightly, eyes fixed on the road. That's right. When? I asked. About a month before she died. A chill spread through me. So she knew something was going to happen. Malik gave a quiet laugh. She didn't just know. She planned for it. The truck turned onto a narrow road surrounded by thick pine trees. After another 10 minutes, Malik slowed down and pulled into an abandoned gas station. The roof was half collapsed, and the place looked like it hadn't been used in years. He turned off the engine. The sudden silence felt strange after the roar of the storm. Malik turned in his seat to face us. All right, he said. You deserve answers. I crossed my arms. Start talking. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small folded map. When he opened it on the dashboard, I immediately recognized the area. Red pines. And all the surrounding land. But there were markings all over it, circles, arrows, notes written in black ink. Your grandmother spent years tracking land purchases, Malik explained. Not just Nema's. Others too. Gailani leaned closer. Others. Malik nodded. Nema Famsi wasn't the boss. She was a middle player. I felt my stomach tighten. So who's at the top? Malik hesitated. Then he tapped a name written in the corner of the map. The Helios Group. I frowned. That's an energy corporation. Exactly, Malik said. One of the biggest in the country. Gailani whistled softly. So they want the lithium. Yes, Malik replied. But they can't legally mine here yet. Environmental restrictions. Land ownership limits. So instead, I said slowly, beginning to understand. They buy the land secretly. Malik nodded. Once they control enough properties, they'll push the government to approve mining. And they'll own everything already. The scale of it made my head spin. This wasn't just about family betrayal. This was corporate warfare. And my grandmother? I asked quietly. Why didn't she just go to the police? Malik sighed. She tried. He reached into his jacket again and pulled out a small envelope. Inside was a newspaper clipping. The headline read, Local investigator dies in car accident. Date, 2 years ago. That was Detective Alvarez, Malik said. He was working with your grandmother. He died 3 days after discovering the Helios connection. The realization hit me like a punch. They killed him. Malik didn't answer. He didn't need to. The wind rattled the broken windows of the gas station. Gailani leaned back against the seat. So we're fighting a billion-dollar corporation. Pretty much, Malik said calmly. Great, Gailani muttered. Fantastic. I looked down at the flash drives in my hand. There must be proof here, I said. Enough to expose them. Malik nodded. That's what your grandmother believed. But the files on those drives are only part of the evidence. Part? I asked. Yes. He pointed toward the map again. There's one place she never finished investigating. My eyes followed his finger. An old industrial site circled in red. Blackridge Mill. That place shut down 15 years ago, Gailani said. Malik nodded. But Helios secretly bought it last year. A slow realization spread through me. They're hiding something there. Exactly. What? Gailani asked. Malik looked directly at me. The drilling equipment. Silence filled the truck. If Helios already had equipment ready, it meant the mining operation could start immediately once they gained legal control. Everything my grandmother feared was already in motion. Then suddenly, headlights appeared at the end of the road. 3 vehicles turning toward the gas station. Malik's expression hardened. They found us. Gailani groaned. Seriously? The SUVs approached slowly. Same black vehicles. Same hunters. Malik started the engine again. Hold on. The pickup roared forward just as the SUVs blocked the road. One of the men stepped out holding a rifle. Gunfire erupted. Bullets slammed into the gas station walls as Malik swerved past them. The truck fishtailed onto the highway. Gailani ducked. This is getting ridiculous. Malik glanced in the mirror. They're gaining. Sure enough, the SUVs were speeding after us. Engines roaring. Headlights blazing. I gripped the seat. What do we do? Malik's voice stayed calm. We go somewhere they won't expect. Where? Gailani asked. Malik smiled slightly. The last place they'd search. 10 minutes later we turned off the highway and drove into a quiet suburban neighborhood. Street lights glowed softly. Children's bicycles sat in driveways. Peaceful. Normal. Completely different from the chaos chasing us. Malik stopped the truck in front of a modest house. This is it. I frowned. Whose house? Malik stepped out. Then he said something that made my heart stop. Yours. I stared at him. My what? Your grandmother transferred this property into your name 6 months ago. Gailani blinked. So, secret safe house? Malik nodded. Exactly. We hurried inside. The house was small but clean. Clearly maintained. Inside the living room sat a locked steel cabinet. Malik walked over and opened it. Inside were computers, documents, hard drives. My grandmother's final investigation headquarters. I felt a wave of emotion wash over me. She planned everything, I whispered. Yes, Malik said. But she didn't finish it. He turned toward me. That part is your job. Gailani dropped into a chair. So what's the next move? I picked up one of the files. On the cover were 3 words. Blackridge Mill Operations. I looked up at them. We go there. Malik nodded. Tomorrow night. A quiet tension filled the room. Because we all knew something. Blackridge Mill wouldn't just hold answers. It would be heavily guarded. And if Helios discovered we were coming, they wouldn't just chase us next time. They would make sure we never escaped again. Outside, thunder rolled across the dark sky. And somewhere far away, someone powerful was already preparing for our next move. The rain finally stopped the next morning, but the air still felt heavy with storm clouds. Inside the small safe house, the atmosphere was tense. Maps, laptops, and documents covered the dining table. Malik had been studying the files for hours, occasionally marking locations with a red pen. Gailani paced the room restlessly. This is insane, he muttered for the 5th time. We are about to break into a secret corporate operation run by people who probably have private security teams. Malik looked up calmly. Correct. Gailani stopped pacing. And you say that like it's normal. It's manageable, Malik replied. I sat quietly at the table, reviewing the documents from the Blackridge Mill operations folder. The more I read, the more disturbing the truth became. Blackridge Mill wasn't just an abandoned factory. It had been secretly converted into a drilling and survey site. Helios had already begun underground exploration. They were just waiting for final legal approval to start large-scale mining. Which meant something terrifying. If we exposed them now, we could stop everything. But if we failed, they would bury the truth forever. I closed the folder. We go tonight. Gailani groaned again. Of course we do. Malik stood and unfolded a blueprint of the mill. The facility has 3 entry points, he explained. Front gate, heavily guarded. Side warehouse, likely alarmed. And an underground maintenance tunnel. He pointed to the bottom of the map. That's our way in. Gailani leaned closer. And how do you know about this tunnel? Malik smiled slightly. Because I helped build the original security system 10 years ago. I looked at him sharply. You worked for Helios. Consultant, he said. But I stopped once I realized what they were planning. The room fell quiet. It was strange trusting someone who once worked for the enemy. But at this point, we had no other choice. By the time darkness settled over the town, we were already on the road. Malik drove with the headlights off as we approached the forest road near Blackridge Mill. The massive silhouette of the factory appeared through the trees. Broken smokestacks, tall metal towers, and bright floodlights surrounding the perimeter. But what caught my attention were the vehicles parked outside. Black trucks. Security patrols. Far more guards than we expected. Gailani whispered from the back seat. Looks like a military base. Malik nodded. Helios is protecting something big. We parked half a mile away and continued on foot through the forest. The night was quiet except for the crunch of leaves under our boots. After 10 minutes, Malik stopped beside a rusted metal grate in the ground. This is it, he whispered. The maintenance tunnel. He lifted the cover slowly. A ladder descended into darkness. One by one we climbed down. The tunnel smelled of damp earth and rusted metal. Our flashlights cut narrow beams through the darkness. Water dripped somewhere in the distance. Gailani whispered nervously. I hate tunnels. Malik ignored him and led us forward. After several minutes we reached a metal door. He pulled a small device from his pocket and connected it to the keypad. The lock clicked open. The door creaked slightly as we pushed it. Beyond it, we entered the mill. And the sight inside stopped me cold. The interior of Blackridge Mill had been completely transformed. Massive drilling machines filled the factory floor. Conveyor belts. Industrial equipment. Rows of computers and monitoring screens. Helios wasn't preparing to mine. They were already mining. Workers in helmets moved between machines while security guards watched from elevated platforms. Gailani whispered in shock. They started without approval. Yes, Malik said quietly. And if the public finds out, the company will collapse. I felt the weight of the flash drive in my pocket. This was the evidence we needed. But suddenly, a voice echoed from the shadows. I wondered how long it would take you to find this place. We spun around. A man stepped into the light. Tall. Elegant. Expensive suit. Cold eyes. Malik's expression darkened immediately. Director Hayes. The man smiled. So you remember me. Director Hayes. Chief Executive of Helios Group. The real mastermind. Behind him, armed guards emerged from the shadows. We were surrounded. Hayes clasped his hands behind his back. I must admit, Zora Harrington, he said calmly. You've been very persistent. I forced my voice steady. You murdered my grandmother. Hayes tilted his head slightly. Technically speaking, she died of natural causes. The anger inside me flared. You threatened her. She threatened our future, Hayes replied coldly. Gelani whispered under his breath. This is bad. Hayes continued speaking as if discussing business. Lithium is the future of energy. The world needs it. And Helios will supply it. Your grandmother stood in the way. So do you. Malik stepped forward. You won't get away with this. Hayes laughed softly. Og, I already have. He snapped his fingers. Two guards grabbed Malik from behind. I tried to move but another guard aimed a gun at me. Hayes looked almost disappointed. You were clever, Zora. But you made one mistake. He turned toward Malik. Trusting him. My heart skipped. What? Hayes smiled slowly. Did you really think Malik Carter suddenly decided to help you? The words hung in the air like poison. I turned to Malik. His face was unreadable. Hayes continued. Malik works for me. Gelani's eyes widened. Are you serious? Hayes nodded calmly. He has been reporting your movements since the moment you left Red Pines. The room spun slightly. I looked at Malik. Tell me that's not true. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he looked down. And didn't answer. My chest tightened. The betrayal hit harder than any weapon. Hayes sighed. It's unfortunate, he said. But necessary. He gestured toward the guards. Take them. But just as the guards moved, Malik suddenly twisted free. He slammed his elbow into one guard and grabbed the other's weapon. Chaos exploded across the factory floor. Gunshots echoed. Workers screamed and ran. He stepped back in shock. Malik tossed a pistol toward me. Zora, run. Everything happened at once. Alarms began blaring. Red lights flashed across the factory. Gelani pulled me toward the exit tunnel. Behind us, security teams rushed toward the commotion. Malik shouted over the noise. Go. I'll hold them off. I hesitated. But Gelani dragged me forward. We sprinted back toward the tunnel entrance. Behind us, gunfire echoed. Metal clanged. Voices shouted orders. Just as we reached the tunnel ladder, a massive explosion shook the mill. The ground trembled violently. Dust and sparks filled the air. Gelani looked back in horror. Malik. The factory lights flickered. Then darkness swallowed the mill. And we had no idea whether Malik had just saved our lives or sacrificed his own. The forest was silent except for our footsteps. Gelani and I ran through the maintenance tunnel until we reached the ladder that led back outside. My lungs burned, and my hands shook as I climbed. When we finally emerged into the cold night air, the sky above Blackridge Mill glowed orange. Flames were rising from the factory. Smoke curled into the dark sky like a signal fire. Gelani bent over, trying to catch his breath. What just happened? I stared back toward the mill, my heart pounding. Malik. Had he really betrayed us? Or had he just saved us? Gunshots echoed faintly from inside the factory before fading into the sound of sirens approaching from far away. Police. Fire trucks. Someone must have reported the explosion. Gailani looked at me. We have to go. But Malik. We can't help him now, he said reluctantly. I nodded. We ran back toward the road where Malik's pickup truck was hidden. The engine started on the first try. Gailani drove while I pulled out the flash drives. The evidence? Everything depended on them now. If Helios controlled the narrative, they would cover up everything. But if the truth reached the public, they would fall. By the time we reached the safe house, the early morning sky had begun to lighten. I connected the flash drive to the computer again. The files were still there. Contracts. Emails. Illegal drilling records. Financial transfers linking Helios executives to the secret mining operation. But something else caught my eye. A final folder. MH final file. I opened it. Inside was a recorded message from my grandmother. The video began with her sitting in the same library at Red Pines. Her voice was calm. Zora, if you're watching this, then things have gone further than I hoped. She looked tired but determined. I knew exposing Helios would be dangerous. So I prepared something stronger than evidence. She held up a small device. A data trigger. My eyes widened. Gailani leaned closer. What's that? In the video, my grandmother continued. If anyone attempts to destroy the files on those drives, a backup copy will automatically upload to multiple news networks and government agencies. Gailani stared at the screen. That's brilliant. Yes, I whispered. Helios couldn't erase the truth anymore. My grandmother had already ensured it would spread. Suddenly, a knock echoed at the door. Both of us froze. Gailani whispered, Did you tell anyone about this place? No. Another knock. Stronger this time. My heart pounded as I slowly approached the door. I opened it carefully. And froze. Malik stood there. Alive. Bruised. But alive. Gailani jumped to his feet. You're alive. Malik stepped inside quickly and closed the door. We don't have much time. I stared at him. You didn't betray us. He shook his head. No. I pretended to. Hayes trusted me because he believed I was loyal to Helios. You were undercover, I realized. Malik nodded. For years. Relief washed through me, mixed with anger. You could have told us. If I had, he said quietly, Hayes would have seen it. Gailani crossed his arms. Well, next time maybe give us a hint. Malik smiled slightly. I'll keep that in mind. Then his expression turned serious. Hayes survived the explosion. My stomach dropped. What? He escaped before the main blast, Malik said. He's trying to spin the story, calling the explosion an industrial accident. I looked at the screen. Then we release the evidence now. Malik nodded. That's exactly what we are going to do. The truth goes public. 2 hours later, we sat in front of the computer. The files were ready. Emails. Video footage. Mining permits. Financial records. Every illegal action Helios had taken. Gailani hovered over the keyboard. Once I press send, he said, there's no going back. I thought of my grandmother. Her courage. Her determination. Yes, I said firmly. Do it. Gailani hit the key. Within seconds, the files began uploading. 2 journalists, government investigators, environmental agencies, major news networks. The truth spread across the internet like wildfire. Within minutes, headlines began appearing. Helios Energy exposed in illegal mining scandal. Billion-dollar corporation under federal investigation. Secret lithium operation discovered at Blackridge Mill. Malik leaned back in his chair. It's done. 2 weeks later, the investigation moved quickly. Helios Group's stock collapsed. Government officials launched criminal charges against multiple executives. And Director Hayes was arrested while attempting to leave the country. Red Pines Estate was officially returned to my ownership. Environmental Protection Agencies sealed the mining sites. The land was safe again. One evening, I stood outside the old house at Red Pines. The sun was setting behind the trees. Gailani joined me on the porch. Feels strange, he said. What does? All of this being over. I nodded. But deep down I knew something. It wasn't really over. Stories like this never ended completely. Powerful people always tried again. But this time, they knew something. The truth could still win. Malik walked up the driveway toward us. He had officially joined the investigation team working with federal agents. Good news, he said. Hayes is going to trial. Gailani smiled. Finally. I looked across the land my grandmother had protected for so long. The wind moved gently through the tall pine trees. For the first time since this began, the estate felt peaceful. My grandmother had started the fight. But we had finished it. And Red Pines would remain exactly what she wanted it to be. A home. Not a battlefield.